welcome to our video tutorial for this cat sweater that you can see Melba wearing here. I hope you enjoy this tutorial. Please like, share and subscribe, and hope to catch you soon. Thanks. Bye. Okay, so for this tutorial you'll need some yarn. I'm using this one here, this bright coloured graduated yarn. It's an 80% acrylic, 20% wool yarn, and this pattern suits quite well these graduated colour yarns. It doesn't suit as well a striped yarn, but it suits pretty well these graduated colours. But you can use any yarn that you like. And I'm going to use a 5mm crochet hook with this yarn. It's slightly larger than what my yarn recommends, but this is about a 3 to 4 weight, but I like the look to be a little bit chunkier, and also it allows the sweater to have a little bit more give by using a slightly larger crochet hook. You'll need some scissors, a darning needle, a tape measure to take some measurements from your cat, and optional buttons. Now I'm going to add 1, maybe 2 to this project. I'll see how it turns out, but you can add the buttons to button up underneath the belly if you want to, but it's only optional. Okay, I just wanted to also quickly mention that you'll probably need a smaller needle to sew on your button. So most darning needles won't fit through a buttonhole, so just make sure that you've got a smaller needle on hand that you can sew on your button with. Okay, so the stitches and techniques you'll need to know for making this sweater are how to slip knot onto your hook, how to create a chain, how to half double crochet in the back loop only. You'll need to know how to slip stitch, how to triple crochet increase, triple crochet decrease. Then you'll need to know how to size this garment, and then you'll need to know how to sew on a button and weave in your end. So it is a beginner-friendly project, but because of the sizing, it might be more towards an advanced beginner or an intermediate project. But for beginners, I'm sure you can work it out. You'll just need to have a bit of confidence with working out the sizing that you need for your cat. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, to get started, slip knot onto your hook. And we're going to start up at the neckband area, up at the top here. Okay, so you're going to chain 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now you want your neckband to be approximately 5 centimeters wide. So if you're using a yarn that's a lot smaller than mine or a lot thicker, then you may need to chain slightly more, slightly less. But you want your neckband to be approximately 5 centimeters, and that there's a bit of give and take in that, but approximately 5 centimeters. So for me, I'm going to chain 7. Now locate the second chain from your hook and half double crochet into that chain, and then half double crochet into each of the chains all the way along to finish row 1. And that's row 1 done. So like I said, we're creating the neckband, so that's this part here. So we're going to make it a ribbed effect. So chain 1, and then place a half double crochet in that first stitch, and then into the back loop only, so working into just this back loop here. So half double crochet into that back loop, and then into the next stitches, back loop only, until you get to the last stitch, and then you'll work into both loops of the last stitch, just to give the ends a bit more structure. Okay, so that's row 2. And essentially you're just going to keep repeating row 2 until you've got to the length that you need for your neckband. So to work out the length that you need for your neckband on this pattern, you'll take the measurement of your cat's neck circumference, so take it, relatively snugly and accurately, and then you'll add 10 centimeters to that measurement. Okay, so for example, Melba's neck is 24 centimeters approximately. I'm going to add 10 centimeters to that, so I'm going to keep working to a length of 34 centimeters. So you'll take your cat's neck circumference, add the 10 centimeters, and that will give you the length that you need to go for. So you'll just keep working your half double crochets, so repeating that row 2, working into the back loop only except for the first and the last stitches, and then you'll stop once you get to that length that you've measured and added 10 centimeters to. So I'll see you when I get to my length. Okay, so I've got my length of neckband, so I've got 34 centimeters there. So now we're just going to slip stitch to join these two ends. So chain 1 and put these two ends together, and then you're just going to take the first stitch and the first stitch on it's the chain on the other side, and you're just going to slip stitch them together. Now what I tend to do is just take the inner loop of the stitch that's not the chain side, but you can take both loops, that's also okay too. I just think it looks slightly neater just by taking that first, or that inner loop. So slip stitch along to join these two ends together, and final one there. Okay, so you've got your neckband there done. Okay, so now we're going to move on to the main part of the sweater. So chain 3, and your chain 3 counts as a stitch, and then you're going to work evenly spaced triple crochets all the way around the edge of this neckband. So it'll work out to be approximately 1 in the top of each row. Okay, so you can see you've got, it's a bit easier to see perhaps on this side here. So you've got one row there, that's a ridge row, one row there, so it's kind of dips and ridges. So you've got ridge, one row there, one row there, one row there, one row there. So you want to place them approximately at the top of each row. So yarn over twice, insert your hook into the top of the next row, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Okay, and then you'll continue along placing 1 triple crochet in approximately the top of each row. Now it's a little bit hard to see exactly where to place your stitches because because you're not working into stitches, obviously you're working into the sides of the work. So place them as evenly as you can, and like I said, aim to put them into the top of each of those rows, and you'll work your way all the way around. So no increases in this row, this is just a triple crochet row working all the way around. So go ahead and do that, and I'll meet you back around at the other side. Okay, so I've finished my first row of triple crochets, so I'm just going to find that first stitch and make a slip stitch. So that's round 1. Okay, so moving on to round 2, chain 3. And then we're going to do the same as what we did, but this is going to be much easier. So your chain counts as a stitch. So go into the next stitch. And you're going to work single crochets all the way around, one in each stitch. So it's going to be much easier to see where they go in this round. So just one in each stitch until you get to the sides. Now we're going to increase at the sides here, and we're going to increase at the back here. Now these increases are optional, and this is where you'll have to start to try the sweater onto your own cat, or at least take some measurements of the cat that you're making it for. So in general, what you'll need to do, just with the general proportions of most cats, is you'll need to make increases at 3 points in this row. Okay, so keep working around. So you've got this part in the center, and this is what you could use some stitch markers to mark. But if you can just eyeball where the sides are, and obviously it's easy to see where the center of the back is because it's corresponding to this front area here. So just keep working around until you get to the first side. Oops, oh, my yarn split. My yarn split on that one. Let's just undo that. So working around until you get to that first side. So let's see where we're at. Yeah, one more. And then I'm going to increase in the next stitch. So I'm at the sides there, about halfway. So I'm going to place, in the next stitch, I'm going to place 2 triple crochets just to get an increase there. So into the same stitch at the side there, place 2 triple crochets. Okay. And then you're going to do that on the other side as well, and also at the back here. So I'm going to continue to work my way around just until that center back area, and I'll meet you there and we'll do that increase again together. Okay, so I'm around at the back here, and I'm just going to place, because I'm in the center at the back there, and let's just line up, yeah, approximately at the center of the back there. I'm going to place my 2 triple crochets into the center back there, and place another one into the same stitch, and then I'm going to work my way around to the other side and place 2 in this side to correspond to the 2 that were on the other side. And then I'm going to work all the way around and finish off this round 2. So go ahead and do the same, and I'll meet you shortly. Okay, so I'm at the end of my round 2. So just to recap, I've made increases at the sides here and at the back. And now I'm just going to slip stitch into that first stitch to join. So that's the end of round 2. So in round 3, we're going to create the leg holes. Okay. Now, what I suggest that you do is that you take your tape measure and make a measurement between the top of the right leg and the top of the left leg, so across the chest. So where you want the legs to come out close enough to the center of the leg holes. Okay, so you're not restricting any movement. So depending on that measurement, it will depend exactly where you place your leg holes and how big you make them, or how wide you make them. Okay, so I'll start on round 3, and hopefully that will become a bit clearer. So chain 3, and then most most of us will be placing at least one stitch either side of the chain, and perhaps even two. But if your cat has quite a narrow distance between their legs, or quite narrow across the chest, then you may want to leave out these chains here, or sorry, these triple crochets here that are on the side of the chain. Okay, so make that measurement, and that's something that you'll just have to kind of try and work out yourself. So for Melba, the width across her chest is about 12 centimeters. So it's from, you know, right leg to left leg. So for her, having these 5 in the middle here is fine. But you may need to, if your cat's chest is narrower, it's a smaller cat, you may need to leave off that second one here before you start the leg hole. So what I'll do here is place my first one there, and then I'll place another stitch. So take your tape measure and just make sure that your work's right in the center. So take your tape measure and just make sure that where you're putting your leg holes, so for Melba, like I said, she's 12 centimeters across her chest. So I might even leave that last one out on this particular yarn, although maybe that's going to be okay. Let's leave it for now. And then we're going to create the leg holes. Okay, so these, I'm sorry that I can't be more specific about what you need to do on your particular work, but you need to just keep measuring and keep making sure that you've left enough room for the leg holes, and plus quite a bit extra, that there's no restriction in movement. Okay, so I think for Melba this is going to be okay, and just bear in mind that you want to mirror what you've done here once you get around to the beginning, or back around to the beginning of the round. So just bear in mind that you need to allow for that in the center of the chest. Okay, so to create your leg hole, you're going to create a chain. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to aim to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and I'm going to insert my next triple crochet into the 9th stitch here. Okay, right on the side there. Now you can, if you're worried about your cat not moving very well in the sweater, you can make that longer and bring the armholes back around this side a bit. Okay, so if you're worried about movement, if your material, your yarn you're using, it doesn't have much give in it, then you may want to take the armhole a bit further round. But for this one, because I've got quite a lot of give in here, and that's why I used the larger crochet hook for this yarn, I'm going to leave 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then work my first triple crochet into this 9th stitch. Okay, so however many you skip, add 2 extra chains. Okay, so I'm skipping 8, so I'm going to chain 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Okay, so you want to chain 2 more than what you're skipping. Okay, 2 more than what you're skipping. And so you might be skipping, let's say, 10 stitches, so then you'll chain 12. Okay, so just work out what's going to work for your cat and the exact yarn that you're using. And then I'm going to, like I said, skip my 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then my next triple crochet will go into that 9th stitch. Oh, let me count that again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's that one there. And I'll put a triple crochet there. So just make sure this triple crochet is nice and secure. Just pull that a little bit tighter than the other ones. And so there you've got your first leg hole. Now you're going to just continue working all the way around, so triple crochets in each stitch all the way around, no increase in this row. And then you want to mirror what you've done on this side on this side. Okay, so you want to leave, so if you've done 2 like I have before the armhole or leg hole, you'll leave 2 here. Okay, and then you skip the same amount that you skipped before, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that's going to be my last stitch here, and you can use a stitch marker and mark it. I haven't got any stitch markers close to me, so I'm just going to count. So you can just count, but if you want to measure where you need to finish your stitches and start chaining, then go ahead and do that. Otherwise, I'm going to continue on with my row and just working my triple crochets, 1 in each stitch, until I get to that point where I need to start mirroring what I've done on this first side. So you continue around and do the same, and I'll meet you when I get to the point where I need to start my chain on the other side. Okay, so I'm back around the other side. Now I'm just going to do, because I haven't used a stitch marker, I'm just going to do a quick recount. So I want to leave 2 to mirror this side, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I've got 1 more stitch to add in there before I start my chain. So now to mirror, I'll chain my 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, my yarn's stuck. 8, 9, and 10. Okay, and then I want to put my next stitch after skipping my 8 and make that a little bit tighter, and then my final stitch, which mirrors the other side, in that last stitch there, and then slip stitch to join. Okay, so there you have the you've created the leg holes. Now at this point, if your cat is with you, what I recommend that you do is that you try this little part on and make sure that there's no restriction in your cat's movement. And if there is, you may have to unpick and extend the width of the armholes and therefore extend the chain that you make. Okay, so each cat is different. The proportions of each cat are slightly different. I can just give you a general idea of how to size this, but you know, it's a good idea to keep trying this on your cat. Okay, so we're going to move on to the 4th round. So same thing, chain 3. And again, this is where you'll have to work out a little bit of sizing on your own. Now, what I recommend that you do for this round is that you take a measurement around your cat's ribs. So just behind the back leg, just behind the front legs. So around the ribs, because this is where this row is going to fall. Now, in most cases, you'll need to make an increase for this row, and then you will increase at the sides and at the back as we did before. But yeah, you'll have to make sure that you're fitting it to that circumference of your cat's ribs. So I'm going to continue along. Now, start your row as before, just placing 1 triple crochet in each stitch there. Now you've got an option with the armholes. You can work so you want to work 10 stitches into the armhole. Now you've got an option. You can either work them like I did on this one. I worked them into the armhole, or you can work them into the actual chains themselves. It doesn't matter which one you choose in that case. It's just up to you how you prefer it to look. So if that's showing up on camera, hopefully it is, these ones here have been worked into the armhole. This one here I'm going to work actually into the chain. Okay. So whatever you prefer, it really doesn't matter at all in that case. Just choose one of those options and work your 10 triple crochets along the top of this first armhole. Okay, so I'm going to continue on off camera, and then we'll get to the sides here and we'll do the increases. Okay, so you'll increase at the side, each side, almost certainly at each side. But what you can do, as I was saying before, take your measurement of your cat's rib circumference, just behind the back legs, and compare that measurement to what you have already. So obviously this is half the measurement. Now you may not need to increase in this row. Most likely you will. So for example, this measurement here is 18 centimeters. So this will fit a circumference of 36 centimeters, which is approximately what Melba's belly circumference is. So that's fine. But what I'm going to do is I am actually going to increase just to allow a little bit extra for fit. My main concern with these sweaters is that you don't restrict the movement of your cat at all. So I am going to make an increase on each side, but because I'm so close to the actual measurement that I need for Melba's belly or ribs, I'm not going to do the increase at the back here, because what I suspect will happen is that will be too loose. And again, I apologize for not being able to give you an exact pattern. This is a pattern that you need to size to your individual cat, and especially if it's a sweater that needs, good movement but good fit. So you continue along working your triple crochets across that armhole. Make the increases that you need to make according to the measurement that you've taken on your cat, and I'll meet you at the end of this round. Okay, so I've finished my round 4 there. Okay, so now we're going to continue on. We've got one more round, and we're actually going to make a decrease in this round. So we're going to start bringing, this is where it sits around the ribs. We're going to start bringing it towards the back. Now you can do all 3 decreases in this round, so 1 on each side and 1 in the center back, or you can just do 2 on the side, 1 on each side. It depends entirely on the fit of your cat. So I'm going to do 1 on each side and 1 in the back. So just keep on working as you've been working at the beginning of all of these rows. Just triple crochets 1 into each stitch, and I'll meet you at the side here and we'll do our first decrease. Okay, so I'm round at my first side, so I'm going to do a decrease in the next 2 stitches. So start your triple crochet as you would normally, and then stop when you've got those 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over twice again and go into the next stitch. Yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and then yarn over, pull through all of the last 3. So you've done a triple crochet decrease. Now you'll just continue along with your, with your 1 triple crochet in each stitch until you get round to the back. Now you may or may not be making 3 decreases in this row. You might only be making 2, and you might not be making any. Most likely you will be making at least the ones on the side, so you can start to decrease down as the belly thins behind the ribs. So keep working around, and I'll do 1 more of these decreases with you. So I'll do 1 in the center here. So I'll just pause for a second, and when I get to the center here, I'll do that decrease again with you. Okay, so I'm going to decrease again in my next 2 stitches. So yarn over twice, insert your hook, yarn over, pull through the first 2, yarn over, twice into the next stitch, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and then through the last 3. Okay, and then just continue on until your decrease on the other side. So always, if you're decreasing on one side, then decrease on the other side, of course. But if you don't have to do each of these decreases in the back here, if you don't feel like you need a decrease in the back here, you don't have to do that in this round. So you're constantly fitting this to the size of your cat. Okay, so I'm at the end of my round. I've just got 2 more stitches to put in. So this is the round where we start to separate the two sides. Okay, so you'll see on this one that I've done previously, we start to separate the sides here. Okay, so what you'll do is you won't slip stitch at this round, and actually I will just make a sizing note here just before we go. Now if your cat has quite a long body, you may need to go for an extra round here, okay, before you start splitting off the two sides. So that's something, just measure from behind the back legs to just in front of the back legs, that length underneath the belly, and just make sure that where the split is falling is where you want it to fall. Okay, probably you want it to fall in this row, maybe at the next row, and that would only be if your cat has quite a long body. Okay, so we're going to start this split now. So from here, chain your 3 and turn, and then skip this first stitch under the chain, and then you're going to start your triple crochet in the next stitch. Okay, so we're going to start decreasing there by skipping that first stitch. So then all you'll do is you'll just continue around to the other side of this round. Well, it's no longer round, so you'll just continue all the way around to the other side, and then basically you're just going to keep working backwards and forwards. So no more increases or decreases unless you feel you need one in this center back area perhaps, but generally no more increases or decreases here. You'll just work backwards and forwards with your triple crochets. And with that, I mean, no more decreases. When I said no more decreases, I mean no more decreases at the side or the back. You are making a decrease at the beginning of each row, okay, by skipping this first stitch. So continue on this first row here after the split, and I'll meet you around at the other side of this round. Okay, so I'm round at the other side of this row, so I'm just placing my last triple crochet above the chain in the previous row. So now we're just going to work our way back, so chaining 3 and turn, and remember to skip that first stitch and then work into the second stitch in the row, and then all the way back. So you'll just keep doing that until you reach the length that you want for your sweater. Okay, so it'll depend on the length of your cat, it'll depend where you want the sweater to fall. So you can do a little sort of half length sweater, you can do a 3/4 length sweater, you can do a full length sweater. Just remember to leave a bit of room above the tail. You don't, as your cat's moving and walking, you don't want the sweater to touch the tail usually, because that's a very sensitive area just in the base of the tail there. So stop, maybe 5 to 10 centimeters before the base of the tail. And yeah, you'll just work out how long you want your sweater to be. So I'm going to continue doing those backwards and forth. until I've reached the length of sweater that I want. So actually, just to show you quickly, this one here is about a 3/4 length one that I've made, and that was made out of necessity because to make this size and this length was the exact amount of wool that I had. So I've got more for this one, so I'm going to make it slightly longer. But you'll just keep doing that same backwards and forwards until you've reached the length that you want. So I'll meet you back when I've reached my length. Okay, I just wanted to come back quickly just to make sure that at the end of these rows you don't miss that last one, that last stitch there. Okay, so just make sure, it can be sometimes a little bit tricky to see, but just make sure you don't miss that last stitch above the chain from the previous row. Okay, so I'm starting to lose light here where I am. So in the interests of filming this all in one day, or one afternoon, I'm going to finish here. Normally I would go longer than what I've done here. This is just definitely a half size. I actually want to go a little bit longer, but I'm going to finish this off camera today so we can, like I said, film this in just one afternoon. So now we're going to sew on our buttons. So what you'll do here is you'll just yarn over and pull through and bring out a long tail. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to sew on your buttons and weave in your ends at the same time. Okay, so leave a good amount. Take your scissors and snip off the end. And then take your buttons and your darning needle. Now you'll have to make sure that your darning needle fits through your button, and Melba has been playing with my button so it's disappeared, so one moment. Okay, so I've got my button. Okay, so thread your darning needle with your yarn, and then you're going to weave the end of your yarn, you're going to weave it down the edge here. Okay, weaving down through the edge until you reach the point where you want to sew on your button. So I'm going to sew it on here, so I'm going to weave down all the way down through here. So pull that down the side there. Okay, so you'll just sew on your button using this tail end, and I'm going to assume that you know how to sew on your button. Okay, so you'll just go up and through and down. I'm not actually going to do that just on camera now because I'm actually going to add some layers or add some rows to this to the sweater so it's a bit longer. But you'll go ahead and you'll sew on your button, and then it will look like this. So you can sew on just one button, or you can sew on two like I've done here, and then the opposite side will act as your buttonhole just naturally. Okay, so you could, if you're making an extra long sweater, you could add 3 buttons. So it just depends on how long your sweater is and where you want it to button, and you can just work that out for yourself and where it fits your cat snugly to button. So after that, once you've sewn on your button, just weave in the excess of your end, and that is your sweater finished. So please send along photos of your sweater finished and on your cat. We would love to see what you've come up with and how you've made this pattern your own, and which yarn you've used. So please send those along to catventurers.community@gmail.com, or you can tag us on social media at catventurous.crochet. So hope you enjoyed this pattern. Please let me know in the comments below. And great to have you here. Thanks very much, and hope to catch you soon. Bye. She's not dead. Oh my god, look at you weirdo. What are you doing? God. Oh, Melba, you're so funny.